We all know Jensen auditioned for Sam. So my question was, if Jensen played Sam, how would you play him differently from Jared?
I don't think you auditioned for Sam though, those are the sides. But that's just because those are the sides, right?
Well, they were only casting Sam.
Yeah, so that makes it sound like the audition for Sam didn't get. So they just released Sam auditions. They weren't auditioning these yet. They were just like, hey, everybody's going to come in and read these same scenes as the character Sam, and we'll see if we like you for this, and you for that, and this for this, and this for that.
Yeah, originally, well, yes, I think as I understood it, they wanted to get their Sam first, and then start reading for deans, start looking for deans. But they invited a few people in to read for Sam that they just wanted to see as potential deans, but they weren't releasing any of Dean's dialogue. So everybody was reading the same audition scene, and it was a Sam scene. And so I went in there, I went in there to...
When I told Dad there was something in my closet, he gave me a 45.
And then they asked Jared to do it the way I did it in the audition scene.
There was a lot of this.
And then Vampire Diaries was born, and the smolder was ruined forever. No, so I went and I read that scene, and then as soon as the scene was over, I was like, but listen guys, I'm gonna be honest. I read the breakdown on Dean, and I'm feeling that might be a little bit more in my wheelhouse. And both David Nutter and Eric Kripke were sitting right there going, we know. And so I think it was just a formality, like they didn't have any Dean side scenes set up to read. So I read the part of Sam, but it was more of a general audition. And then I never came back and read for Dean. In fact, the next time we auditioned was when I met him, and it was the final audition for the network.
We got it. We booked it. This question: how would Jensen's Sam be different than Jared's Sam?
Right. Yes.
He'd be shorter.
Yes, I would be shorter. And that's it. I wouldn't change anything else.
What was the first experience, our experience, like?
Yes, yeah.
Pertaining to Supernatural?
Yeah.
So like when we met for the first time kind of thing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was like, wow, this guy is really tall and skinny. And I was like, wow, this guy's handsome. Maybe I didn't read the script right. I thought I was supposed to have a brother. That's one of the earlier, I don't remember getting the script originally, but I remember reading through it and being like, at the time, like Charmed was on, and Angel, and maybe Buffy was still on. And those are all great shows, but not the show I wanted to do next in my career. I was like, well, fun, but I wanted to do something a little bit grittier and more real, a little bit kind of like gnarlier. And they were like, no, listen, this is not going to be a show about like the goofy aspects of science fiction. It's going to be kind of gritty, like X-Files. I was like, all right, well, send it to me, let me read it. And I read it and I was like, this kicks ass. Like we should definitely go after this. And so very shortly thereafter, probably within the span of a week or something, we were reading for the heads of the network in the studio, and we show up, and usually when you get to an audition, it's a horrifically anxiety-inducing process. And you usually walk in, and it's like all the guys who kind of look like you and are within 5 years of your age, either with this or that way. A lot of them have a lot more experience, and they're all talking about like this role they just did or that thing it's a mortifying, just really dehumanizing experience. And so we get there, and I'm like, okay, every person who I've ever seen on a TV show or movie that's my age is going to be there auditioning for this pilot, because it was the big Warner Brothers pilot. And so I show up, and Johnny Hansen walks in and is like, hey, you seen Days of Our Lives, Dark Angel, and Smallville? Yeah, that's me. And I knew he had. It was just a formality. No, and so he walks in, we start talking. Hey, where you from? Texas. Me too. Who's your yeehaw? Yee frickin' ha. Who's your team? Cowboys? Me too. You listen to music? Yeah. You like country? Yeah. Me too. Long story short, we got along and we were the only people that showed up.
Yeah, then my question was, where's everybody else? He's like, I don't know. He's like, are you reading for Sam or Dean? I'm like, I'm reading for Dean. He's like, I'm reading for Sam. I'm like, so where's everybody else? Where are the other 10 actors that are fighting for this job, right? Fighting for this role? And no one ever showed up. And then they asked the two of us to come back. We read together for the first time ever in front of 30 executives and Warner Brothers and
when I told Dad I was scared of the thing in my closet, he gave me a 45.
what was he supposed to do?
You know what's out there.
In actuality, it was, what was he supposed to do?
There's this. He gave me 45.
What was he supposed to do? You know what's out there.
I lost my shoe. And one of the reasons I love it is...
What shoe was it?
Right. Whoa!
You got that wrong when we were in LA.
There was has anybody ever seen the shoe, what it looked like? It was just a Puma, but on the bottom they had bolted in basically like a super thick staple, which wasn't a staple, I guess it was just iron that had been drowned, and they had bolted it in on the other side, so I could actually feel, not the points by any means, but the two caps, I could feel them in the shoe, and they had done it because they wanted me to actually lose my shoe, and so they cut the grate in such a way that when I was getting the gum off, what I was actually doing was catching that giant upside down staple onto the grate that they wanted me to catch it on, and it was hooking and dropping it in. It was a super uncomfortable shoe because they had to screw it in. What's funny about I lost my shoe is it's not necessarily a remarkable line by any means, but it's become like a funny thing that I should remember that we've been doing this for a long, long time.
I've got a...
Your bossy is short.
Everybody's obviously telling you how tall you all are, and so it's trying to get how to get that height inside the camera box in the creative ways that, because I've noticed like the pairings, Jared, co-stars have been getting shorter. So how do you,
They're doing
so
that
there'd be shots of just like Jared's chest in the top of his head. So,
Hey, we know where the ratings are, right?
Yeah. There's, in all honesty, a lot of the shorter characters that we've had on the show, they build with people in Vancouver referred to as jilly boards. So
Jilly boards.
jilly boards, which are like quarter apple boxes. Everybody knows what an apple box in the film
No,
industry.
no one knows what an apple box is.
Not everybody knows what an apple box is.
I said nobody knows what an apple box is.
Do y'all know what an apple box is? Shut up. Well, in Vancouver, a lot of the crew that work on our show and a lot of the other shows were around during the X-Files days and worked on X-Files. And because Gillian Anderson was so height deprived, they would build like little runways for her to walk on so that she would, even out with David and the rest of the cast. And they just became known as Jilly boards, as Gillian Anderson. So they still, the crews in Vancouver still refer to building a little like quarter apple for actors or actresses to walk on as Jilly boards. So that is how they kind of even the playing field with Lurch and myself.
Our rule
Our rule in season 1 was that anytime Jensen had to stand on an apple box, he got to punch me. Because he was like, dude, I'm always the tallest guy on set. Like, I don't like this. I'm 6'1", I'm not standing on a box. Not for you, not for anybody. So either shrink or you're getting punched. I was like, I get that, I understand that. Sure. But yeah, there's a lot of platform building underneath a lot of these people, and it's funny too because we'll get a good sized guy coming on to guest star, and he'll be really upset. That's right. Yeah. He'll come on and be like, "Oh, come on."
Yeah, I didn't like that. or the bees. Hey guys, we just need to make sure you're not allergic to bees. And if you get stung,
How do you do that?
And you get stung, you're not going to go into anaphylactic shock. What? Okay, how do you do that? You like to, smear something on you? Like, actually, we're just going to take this bee and sting you with it. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, it's only a 3/4 sting. And I'm not kidding. So they put this little piece of mesh on your skin, and then they hold a live bee with tweezers, and then they just stick the stinger, and it goes just through the mesh enough to get like half its stinger in you, and then they pull it out. It doesn't come off the bee, so the bee's fine.
Yeah,
but I'm not, because now I just got stung by a bee, and I've got this welt now happening on my arm. And they're like, okay, it's been 30 minutes, you're fine. I'm like, yeah, except for this, goiter on my arm right now.
It's also funny because they've asked us to do some wacky stuff on Supernatural. Jump out of this window. Don't worry, I know you can't see, but there's going to be a pad you're going to land on 12 feet down. You're like, cool. I'm like, spin this car into a 360, and then you're fighting this guy. Ram your head through that wall. We're like, cool. They're like, we're going to sting you with a bee. We're like, no.
But then to make things worse, it's like, okay guys, time to go into set. And we walk in, all of the crew have bee outfits on. Guess what? Sam and Dean don't get to wear bee outfits. They're in regular clothing. And then the bee wrangler.
On the day of shooting.
I'm like, how many we talking here? Like a couple hundred? He's like, there's actually 60,000. I'm like,
but don't worry, they're drone bees.
Going in anaphylactic shock.
They're drone bees. They're not going to sting you.
Yeah,
unless you piss them off.
Bees. As long as you stay calm, they're calm. And I'm like, okay, stay calm. Wait a minute. When they yell action, I have a blowtorch.
Yeah, and we're supposed to be swatting
cool
the
with
air.
that? And he goes, oh.
And then we're like, well, what about, so you're going to release 60,000 bees, but then we're going to have to go back to the beginning of the scene where there were no bees for like take 2 and take 3 in different camera angles. He's like, yeah, we're going to vacuum them up. I was like, doesn't that piss him off? He's like, only if we do it a bunch of times. I was like, a bunch like, 20 or 30. He's like, yeah, if we do it like 3 or 4 times, they're going to be a little angry. We're like, we're going to do it like 12, 15 times.
Needless to say, we got stung. I remember just before Kim, our director, just before he yelled action, they were like, okay, roll sound, and I mean, they're all over the place. They were, roll sound, okay, and then the camera system comes up and it's like, okay, 34 Baker, take 2. They have a marker, they run off, and I'm like kind of crouched down, and I'm like kind of flicking bees, they're on me, just landing on me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, find a happy place. And they're like, okay, ready, and just before he yelled action, boom! One had gone right up my shirt and got me right on the upper part of my seat.
Took us.
And it was like, ready, and I was like, wait! And I reached back there and actually pulled the stinger out. I was like, okay!
And then Kim just was like, what are you guys complaining about? Give me an apple box. And he walks into the room, in shorts and a t-shirt, sits down on the apple box, goes, I'll direct from here then. Bees all over him. And we're like, okay, well, we can't let this little guy outman us right now, so we did this thing.
And then the worst part about it, the bees didn't read on film, so they ended up making it with CGI. Good old days.
Yeah, we had an entire shot set up around one. We were climbing down into a manhole cover into a sewer, and it was a set built, so there was this big column, and we climbed up to the top, and there were cameras up there, and so we started climbing down this little ladder in a tube, and I went first, and then Jared was coming right down on top of me, basically, and then it was just a wall of water came from up top, and it was the camera guys had 2 5-gallon buckets of cold water on top of both of us. It was courtesy of Kim Manners, our director at the time. And I remember the producer coming up to me just before the shot. Obviously, he was in on it because he was like, "Hey, so you've got that iPhone thing, right? Let me look into maybe get one of those. Can I see it while you do this?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, here, take it. I'm gonna go shoot this." And he's like, "Yeah, no problem." He was just getting a phone out of my pocket because he knew I was about to get soaked.